Okay, I just want to bring you a line of breaking news that has just come across the Reuters news agency Wire, and it's coming from South Korea. The South Korean president, Yoon Suk-yeol, has declared martial law. He began an unannounced late-night television address to the nation. He has said that he's had no choice but to resort to such a measure in order to safeguard free and constitutional order, saying that opposition parties have taken hostage of the parliamentary process. He's declared the martial law to try and free the Republic of Korea, he says, from the threat of North Korean communist forces and to eradicate what he says is the despicable pro-North Korean anti-state forces. Now, he did not say in the late-night address, which, as I say, was unannounced, what specific measures are going to be taken, but the president of South Korea has declared martial law in the East Asian country, and the opposition leader there in the South Korean parliament has responded in the minutes after that announcement, saying that he will try to nullify the move, but that the military may try to arrest members of parliament. This is a breaking story that is developing all the time. We'll, of course, bring you the very latest from South Korea, from Seoul, as soon as we get it. But that top line, that breaking news.
South Korea just declared emergency martial law. Holy. President Yoon Suk-yeol just declared emergency martial law in the country, citing the opposition parties' anti-state activities, freezing of the parliament, and pro-North Korean activities. Since this announcement, the USD to Korean won conversion has skyrocketed 1.5%. You see that uptick here, meaning that the globe or the world is not feeling optimistic about this. Under martial law, what could possibly happen is the administrative and judicial powers being devolved, the military replacing or controlling civilian administration, some functions of the judiciary replaced by military tribunals, freedom of speech, publication, assembly, association allowed to be restricted, movement controlled, mandatory censorship implemented. Overall, the military just becoming super powerful, taking over work of the police, occupying major cities, facilities, restrictions of certain industry, economic activity, curfew. This comes amidst extremely low approval ratings of President Yoon Suk-yeol amidst his recent activity, unpopularity, especially with the people that associate with the opposition party. Allegations against his wife of getting bribes and also controlling the president. Korean politics in general is just a mess right now. The past 3 presidents, President Moon under investigation for also accepting bribes / doing favors for his kids. President Park ultimately impeached for not doing her job and also being manipulated by someone else. President Lee went to jail for bribes and other things that he shouldn't have done. Last time Korea was under emergency martial law was over 40 years ago under President Chun Doo-hwan, when there was the Gwangju uprising, and he used this to basically restrict the activities of also the opposition party / what he believed was a communist uprising. I don't know, this is kind of scary. Let me know your thoughts.
South Korea is under emergency martial law. I don't know why. And when I attempted to look at the news sources as to why the president just declared emergency martial law, the news sources look like this. This is Yonhap News. Obviously, this is not how a news site should look. But the last thing that I had saw was the president had given a midnight speech in his bunker in the Ministry of Defense. And during this late night speech, the president had said that an impeachment attempt has paralyzed his administration. While I'm filming this video, this news came out that the president just said he declared martial law to eradicate pro-North Korean forces and to protect the Constitution. This has often been used time and time again in South Korea to prosecute anyone who opposes the conservative government. The same exact thing happened in 2014 when they banned the third largest party in Korea, the Unified Progressive Party, who had 14 seats in parliament. They trumped up fake charges to arrest their party's leadership, proclaiming they were pro-North Korean, and kicked out all of their members of parliament, and arrested their party leaders. Do not believe Yoon Suk-yeol.
Let's just bring you some more on that breaking news. You can see I'm joined by Professor Michael Clark, our security and defense analyst, to talk about what's going on in South Korea. The announcement in the last few minutes that the President Yoon, has declared martial law. What's your sense of this, Michael? Why has this decision come now?
Well, it's a surprise, for sure. I mean, President Yoon Suk-yeol, President Yoon, he's been president for only 2 years, 2022. But he's been, in a sense, a minority president because the opposition has the majority in the parliament, and he hasn't been able to get anything through the parliament. So South Korea has been in a state of political stasis and some degree of internal political crisis. Add to that the fact that North Korea has been very assertive in its war with Ukraine, sending troops to the Kursk region, to Russia, and other forms of rhetoric from North Korea. And the belief is, in the government in Seoul, that the opposition are penetrated by the North Koreans, that they lean too far.
Any evidence of that?
I think there's some evidence of it, but I wouldn't claim to be a specialist on internal politics of South Korea. But it's clear that this is a sort of constitutional manoeuvre. There will be some pushback from the opposition for sure, but this is not the beginning of a coup or anything like that. It reflects a governmental crisis in South Korea, and the most strategic issue for me is what this does to South Korea-Japanese relations. Because South Korea and Japan, for years, they wouldn't even talk to each other because of the legacy of the Second World War. But they've now begun not just to talk, but to cooperate on security matters. And that really changes the balance of strategic forces in East Asia, because they're both worried about China. And a governmental crisis in South Korea will affect what the Japanese think, and that Japan has got a problem as well with its own governmental stability and the seriousness with which the Japanese government is taken in the rest of the world at the moment. So there may be some ripple effects from this, but the ripple effects are not from a constitutional coup, it's from a governmental crisis. But it will run for a bit, because the declaration of martial law, giving the president extra legal powers, that's never a step you can take without consequences.
No, it's not clear what he's going to do with those measures yet. And on the opposition as well, Michael, opposition leader Lee has said that they will try to nullify this martial law, but there's concern that they may try to arrest members of parliament. I mean, there's plenty more to talk about.
Be very careful how you use martial law. Very careful.
Absolutely. Another crisis, another part of the world. Professor Clark, thank you for that. We'll have more from you in just a moment.